In the kitchen garden, all is silent and glittering with dew. Above it, the sky is becoming clearer and clearer, a clearer and clearer sapphire, after leaving its dark blue hue studded with stars that through the whole night had watched over the world. Dawn is driving back from east to west these still dark zones, like a wave that during high tide advances more and more, covering the dark beach and replacing the grey dark shade of the damp sand and of the reef with the blue sea water. A few little stars do not want to die yet and peep more and more faintly through the wave of the white greenish light of dawn, a white shaded with grey, like the leaves of the drowsy olive trees that form a crown on that not far away hillock. And then it is wrecked, submerged by the wave of dawn, like land inundated by water. And there is a star less, and then also another one less, and another one, and another one. The sky loses its herd of stars, and only over there, to the remote east, 3, then 2, then 1 remain to contemplate that daily wonder, which is the rising dawn. And then, when a pink thread draws a line on the turquoise silk of the eastern sky, a breath of wind passes over leaves and herbs and says, "Wake up, the day has risen." But it awakes only leaves and herbs that shiver under their dewy diamonds and rustle gently while the falling drops resound like arpeggios. The birds have not awakened yet among the thick branches of a very tall cypress that seems to dominate like a lord in his kingdom, or in the thick entanglement of a laurel hedge that shelters from the north wind. The guards, weary, cold, sleepy, in various postures, are watching over the sepulcher, the stone of which has been reinforced round its edge, as if it were a buttress with a thick layer of lime, on the opaque white of which stands out the large rosettes of red wax of the temple seal, impressed with others directly on the fresh lime. The guards must have lit a little fire during the night, because there are ashes and half-burnt firebrands on the ground. And they must have played and eaten, because scattered around there are remains of food and some small clean bones, which have certainly been used for some game, like our dominoes or our children's games of marbles, which are played on a coarse board traced on a path. Then they became tired and left things as they are now, and they tried to find more or less comfortable postures to sleep or to keep watch. In the clear sky, where to the east there is now a completely rosy zone which is spreading out more and more widely, but where, however, there are no sunbeams yet, a very bright meteor appears, coming from unknown depths, and it descends like a sphere of fire of unbearable splendour, followed by a glowing trail, which perhaps is nothing but the persistence of its brightness in our retinae. It descends at a very high speed towards the earth, shedding such an intense phantasmagoric light, frightful in its beauty, that the rosy light of dawn vanishes, outshone by such white incandescence. The guards, astonished, raise their heads, also because with the light there comes a mighty, harmonious, solemn rumble that fills the whole of creation with its roar. It comes from heavenly depths. It is the Alleluia, the angelical glory that follows the Spirit of the Christ, which is returning to his glorious flesh. The meteor clashes on the useless closure of the sepulchre, tears it off, throws it on the ground, and strikes with terror and noise the guards placed as jailers of the Master of the universe, producing with its return to the earth a new earthquake, as it had caused one when this Spirit of the Lord fled from the earth. It enters the dark sepulchre that becomes all bright with its indescribable light, and while it remains suspended in the still air, the Spirit is infused again into the body, motionless, under the funereal bandages. All this takes place not in a minute, but in a fraction of a minute. So fast have been the appearance, descent, penetration, and the disappearance of the light of God. The I want of the divine Spirit to its cold body is noiseless. It is uttered by the essence to the immobile matter. But no word is perceived by the human ear. The flesh receives the order and obeys it with a deep sigh. Nothing else for some minutes. Under the sudarium and the shroud, the glorious body is recomposed in eternal beauty, awakes from the sleep of death, comes back from the nothing in which it was, and lives after being dead. The heart certainly awakes and gives its first throb. It propels the remaining frozen blood through the veins, and at once creates the full measure of it in the empty arteries, in the immobile lungs, in the dark brain, and brings back warmth, health, strength, thought. Another moment, and there is a sudden movement under the heavy shroud. It is so sudden that from the moment he certainly moves his folded arms to the moment he appears standing, imposing, splendid in his garment of immaterial matter, supernaturally handsome and majestic, with a gravity that changes and elevates him, and yet leaves him exactly himself, the eye has hardly time to follow the development. And now it admires him, so different from what the mind remembers, tidied up, without wounds or blood, only blazing with the light that gushes from the 5 wounds and issues from every pore of his skin.